Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode. I am very blessed to have my dear brother Payman join me today. Yeah, there's a lot I can share about this man and this incredible soul, full heart. And yeah, welcome to have you. Thank you for being here, brother.
Listen, pleasure's all mine. Absolute honor to be here, and I'm very proud of you of how far you come. So super cheering for you, brother. I'm excited.
Yes. So why Payman's saying this is because he is the man behind the podcast. You know, he
Right.
is the seed. You planted the seed, and along my journey of morphing in and out and walking forward and stepping sideways, and I'm not quite sure yet, and everything, you were watering it at times along the way as well, and I really appreciate that. And then yeah, beautiful big generosity from you and your heart to really get me here. So the reason I am here sharing all this is because of this man right here and dear brother.
Thank you. Please don't mind. Hey, listen, just like the saying says, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. I'm not saying I'm a teacher, but you were ready. If you're not ready at that stage to be open to the endless potential possibility of podcasting, it would have happened. But because you were, that's when I showed up. I invited you. You took the invitation and you ran with it. And now I'm super proud of you. So well done.
Yeah. Yeah, thank
Seriously.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And you bring so much, like, you've got your woo, look at that, the hearts are flying. Spaceships. I haven't worked out all those parts just
The
yet.
reaction. See, there's the
Yeah,
heart to the bottom reaction. And click on that. You can do that. Oh, thank you. See, you got it now. You're
yeah.
fast. You're a smart cookie.
Oh
You know
yeah, look
that?
at that. Yeah.
You're a smart cookie when you want it.
Yeah, yeah. I was always told that at school, actually. It was really about when Jacob applies himself, he does well.
Yeah. There you
Because
go.
I was pretty absent a lot, School was like school as for many of us, What are we doing
Yeah.
here? What is this about? But yeah, you deliver such a beautiful podcast course. Your 5-day free challenges are really informative, and you're such a joy. You bring a lot of fun and light to the whole place. It's all about just having fun, and that helps, I think, with the learning and insights. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we all want to have fun. Nobody wants to learn while being bored. When you were in school, if the teacher was boring, you zoomed out. But if the teacher was interesting and fun, you were all in, right? Same thing as an adult.
For sure, for sure. And we are, as an adult, we're still a child. We have that inner curiosity, playful, joyful character inside of us all, and it's important to feed that, isn't it?
Absolutely. The inner child is everything. That's the very essence of life that we must do whatever we can to keep that alive, even when we get to 95,000 years old, because the moment you suppress that inner child, you might as well just dig a hole and call it a day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and with your inner child, you've been exploring this whole podcast thing for a while now. You
Mhm.
must be getting close to 400 episodes, are you?
I just released episode 351 today. And I looked at my dashboard. I recorded yesterday episode 370, some of 20 episodes behind. So 400 is fast coming, probably by the end of this year.
Wow. Oh, that's
Fingers crossed.
impressive.
I can't wait for to reach 1,000.
Yeah. So Misha, who joins you at times, he would be close to that maybe, or getting that way, eh?
He's in this probably in the 700s. Yeah, he started
Okay.
back in 2016, his podcast, 15, 16. So he started what, 5 years before me. So he's got
Hmm.
a leg up, but I'm catching up to him.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you put out, how often do you put yours out?
Honestly, I don't have any set schedule. Is whenever I get a time to release one. I have a bunch. I bang them out. I can do 1 or 2 episodes, recording 1 or 2 episodes a day. But then I let my team take care of it. And once I have the time, right now I'm busy with my academy for the UK. And then this morning I had some time. I released one, and tomorrow I'm gonna release another one just to trying to catch up. So there's no set structures. As whenever I can, I release.
Yeah, good. And like, can you share with the audience, your journey? Like, yeah, or let's maybe go back a little bit because I know COVID was the thing that you found yourself at your mum's house in Canada, going, well, I can't really go anywhere. What am I going to do with my life?
Yeah,
So
let me tell you my story. 4 years ago, I was in a very bad spot. I was living that before the pandemic. I was living in China and Hong Kong, trying to build a business around football, soccer. It didn't work out. I literally ran out of money. If it wasn't for a friend of mine in Hong Kong who allowed me to crash at this place for over a year for free, I would have been on the streets. I was living on $20 a week. I don't know if you've been in Hong Kong, but it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. $20 a week is impossible, but I made it. I was surviving on instant noodles, sardines, and bread, and the free tea, coffee, and snacks that I was getting at the co-working space. I was spending most of my time there. And my credit cards were canceled, my credit destroyed. I was depressed. I was lost, even suicidal at times. I literally had to ask my sister to book me a ticket to return back to Canada instead of a pandemic. I will never forget that day, Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2020, landing in Toronto with only $200 to my name. As a 39-year-old guy, it's not a good place to be, but I never gave up. I knew I could get out, but I had no idea how. And what changed my life is in the process, at the same time, I was having my spiritual awakening. Then I started to understand a few powerful principles of life, that life is a school. Nothing happens to you but for you and at the right time. So I was going through my awakening, and two things completely changed my life. And these two things were exactly the topic of my recent TEDx talk. Understanding the tremendous power of questions. Before, when something bad happened to me, I used to ask the wrong questions, disempowering questions such as, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Why? And cry and whine like the little bee. And when you cry and whine like the little bee, nothing good comes out of it. You dig yourself in a much deeper hole. Then I understood that I had to ask better questions, different questions, more empowering questions, such as, doesn't matter what you're going through. Look at everything from this angle. What is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? So when I was in Hong Kong, on one hand, I was completely broke, at the lowest I've ever been financially. But on the other hand, I was hosting events, I was networking, meeting, very successful, impactful, and big time entrepreneurs. But and I was happy. So how is that possible? There's a massive disconnect because society tells us we need money to be happy. But yet here I was, no money literally, and yet happy. Back then I didn't know it, but then now when I look at it from this perspective, what is that trying to teach me? The lesson for me was that you don't need money to be happy. True happiness comes from within. Sure, we need to make money to survive, but ultimately, because the one thing that is really holding people back is the fear of failure. And once you've been at your lowest, almost homeless, sleeping on a couch for months at a time, no money, literally, $20 is nothing. And yet you're happy. You realize, hey, is this the worst? If that is the worst, then let me try what I want to try. Once you understand that you don't need money to be happy, that true happiness comes from within, then you become very dangerous because nobody can threaten you. If someone says, oh, I'm going to cancel my contract, I'm going to fire you. Okay, no problem. Go ahead. I'm going to call the cops on you. Here's my phone. You become very dangerous because you remove all powers people have over you. You become very dangerous, not in a cocky and arrogant way, but in a very self-assured way. And once you realize that, you become unstoppable, invincible, because you've literally lived at the worst possible condition, and yet you were okay. And you say, if this is the worst, then what the hell am I self-sabotaging myself? So I didn't know that back when I was going through it. But then now looking at this is what I understood. And this is the first principle, understanding the tremendous power of questions and asking the right questions, such as, what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? The second principle that changed my life was realizing that I needed to pay attention to listen to my inner voice, my gut feeling, my intuition, my instinct, because that's your soul talking to you. And our soul, Jacob, has two main purposes. One, to protect you, keep you safe and alive. And number two, guide you to the next phase of your journey. Let me share a quick example. Exactly 4 years ago, late July, early August 2020, back in Canada, completely broke, having a late Saturday afternoon lunch with family. An idea pops into my head. Start a podcast. What do you mean start a podcast? Kept on coming, kept on coming, kept on coming. If it's a one-time thing, then it's your mind talking to you. But if it keeps on coming over and over and over again over a few days, few weeks, few months, then listen to it, because that's your soul talking to you. So finally, in October of 2020, right around the corner of my birthday, I started my podcast. Unbeknownst to me, that was the turning point for me. That was what really opened up the world for me, because I was having this wonderful conversation with very advanced, not only entrepreneurs, successful in a financial perspective, but also as a soul. And I was hearing stories, incredible stories, people who have literally came back from the brink of death, that have beat terminal cancers, that have been lost all, went to jail, and rebuild themselves. Or people that lost all, went on the streets, literally on the street, homeless, and they build themselves up. And then that made me realize, hey, these people have had it 10 times worse than me, and here I am complaining because I can't make any money for now, while I'm staying for free at my family's house. They were very gracious. So stop being a little spoiled brat, and get off your couch. So the podcast was really what allowed me to change my mindset, and stop playing the victim, and instead try to ask, what is it trying to teach me? And ask the right question, because the right question can determine the caliber of the question you ask, can determine the caliber of answers you get. And if you ask the right question, it can lead you toward the right path. Just like Tony Robbins always says, change your story, change your life, meaning change what you tell yourself all the time. Because there is a saying that says, the sky is the limit. I used to believe in that. Then I realized, wait a second, the sky starts right here, where your head stops. If that were the sky, that's a pretty damn low sky. That's a pretty low damn ceiling. But then I realized the real limit is what's inside, the thoughts you entertain, the words you speak. Because what you entertain, you speak, and what you speak, guess what? You manifest, because we're manifestors. We're antennas, frequencies, vibration, all that. You understand that? And once I understood that, that's when my life started to, I wouldn't say take off, because it was a slow process, but get on the right track. So that's my story in a nutshell. And podcasting completely changed my life. In the process, I've not only get back on my feet financially to the best position I've ever been, I've become now a 4-time international best-selling author. I have a thriving international academy. And last week, 10 days ago, I did my first TED Talk, for which I'm tremendously grateful and beyond honored. Now I have people reaching out to me to collaborate, to co-create more magic together, to build bigger programs, and people are always reaching out to me now more and more. So it's beyond grateful. I'm beyond grateful, beyond blessed. But I all started with this. Seriously, the last question I asked all my guests, and I don't know if you remember, when I had you on my podcast, I asked you that question as well. What is the smallest thing you've done that had the deepest, most profound positive impact in your life and your business? For me, without hesitation, Jacob, it was starting my podcast. Because if I hadn't started my podcast, God knows where I would have been today. Maybe I would not even be here, because I was not only depressed, lost, even suicidal. When we live in Canada, in the countryside, there's a rail track. Quite a lot of time I would just go and wonder, what if, I was in a very dark spot. So podcasting completely not only transformed, but even in some ways saved it and blessed it in ways I couldn't even imagine in my wildest dream. So that's
Yeah,
my
and it's
story in a nutshell.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
I
sharing.
hope I
It's a
didn't bore
beautiful
you.
story. It's an incredible story. I love it, and I just
Yeah,
love your honesty, your transparency through it all as well, because that's you being
absolutely.
you, and that's what it's really about, isn't it? That's what you're saying. It's just show up as
You
you
know,
are, who you are, and be the brightest of what you can, in each moment, and things will come back to you. You just stay open and
absolutely.
ask those deep and meaningful questions. And what I'm curious about is, like, you do say, because I wasn't aware that you had a spiritual awakening kind of similar at the same time as you started the podcast. So what was it that gave you that, was it that just low place that you went into that, and something happened?
Honestly, I've been a podcast avid fan since podcasts first came into the picture back in 2006-7. I've been listening to podcasts since as long as they started. I've been listening to podcasts because I always loved learning, especially about travel, about business and mindset. So even way back when I was still working in corporate Canada back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, I always loved listening to people who were living the life that I want, especially the laptop lifestyle, building businesses, living around the world, because what I was aspiring to. I traveled a lot, but I was desperate looking for a way to make money online so I could also live that kind of lifestyle. And the only way to do it back then was, hey, podcast, even before YouTube. Yeah, YouTube was there, but you didn't see like today the explosion of all these guys traveling and documenting the journeys. Back then it was podcasting. So I always been into podcasting. I did dabble in podcasting back in 2017, 18 when I was in China doing e-commerce. I was a co-host of a podcast with my partner at the time, business partner, about Amazon FBA. But this was the first time I wanted to do a podcast on my own. And as I said, when I returned back to Canada completely broke, I asked my sister to book me a ticket. For some reason, the name Leaders with a Heart just showed up in my head. I had no idea how I could use it, but it came. And I bought the domain. And again, the domain, I couldn't buy it myself. I had to ask my sister to buy it for me because I didn't have a credit card. And even my first microphone, my sister had to buy it for me because I didn't have a credit card. But then, of course, I was able to repay her in tenfolds, and that was the start. But for me, podcasting, because again, everything happens for a reason at the right time. You know, things happen to you that if you look at the moment, you have no idea why it's happening and they don't make any sense. But if you take a step back and you ask, what is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson for me to learn to that? Then you put the dots together. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, this is why. At the same time, when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I've always been fascinated with space, with the universe, with the paranormal and stuff like that. At the same time, I started literally consuming anything I could about past life readings and stuff like that. But guess what, Jacob? That was preparing me for what was to come next. In October of 2020, my father, while he was walking down the stairs, he slipped. He broke a couple of ribs. We took him to the hospital to do x-rays, and the results showed that he had a tumor. So me getting introduced to past life reading and all that, understanding that, hey, this life is just like a play, just like at the end of at night when you retire to sleep, in the morning you wake up with a fresh new day. Same thing here, just like a play. When the curtains falls, all the actors go backstage and high five each other. Oh, next time you should say this, next time be tougher, next time be this. Once I understood that, honestly, this is what allowed me to keep my sanity and not go crazy, because I was broke, lost, depressed, suicidal, and on top of that, life threw at me my father literally dying each day in front of me. That would have been the drop that would make the bucket go. But what allowed me to keep my sanity was consuming all this content. I spent hours and hours and days consuming anything I could on past life readings, buying books I could on Amazon. But again, all of this were preparing me for what was to come next, for me to understand what life is, so I can handle properly my father having cancer and literally passing away or ascending in less than a year. So everything happens at the same, for a reason, the right time. I don't know if that answers your question, or maybe I went on a tangent. As you will you'll notice, I'm the king of tangents. I will take you around the world before answering your question, you know?
It's so good. I like that as well. You know, I find when I'm sharing things and something kind of pops in, that's what I find. You pop in and then you go over there and you go on that wee journey, and then something else pops in, and then maybe at some point you will come back around full circle, or you might
Or
just
something we'll forget. What was the question again?
yeah, what was that? Yeah, where were we? Who am I
Yeah.
talking? What does it? But that's all good. I mean, I feel what you're sharing is yeah, you're in a place where you were like low, but you're also already asking questions. You're already investigating and investing yourself into something else. And through that, you know, your higher self, your soul steps in and starts to bring you information, and then you get feelings, and you know, and then you head into directions. And you know, I feel there must have been something that said to you, look, I need to jump on that plane. I need to get to Canada, you know, and you may not have known why that was, like you say, or what it was, but it was just you being guided by your
No,
soul,
I
your
had to
higher
go to
self.
Canada because I couldn't keep staying in Hong Kong because at the time, as a non-resident in Hong Kong, I didn't have medical insurance, and the rate for hospitalization in Hong Kong for a non-resident was $1,000 a day. I didn't want anything to happen to me to burden my family back home or burden my friend was already tremendously generous by hosting me for free for a year. So I said, hey, the best thing I could do, I just go back home in Canada. But I couldn't buy a ticket. So I asked my sister, she was gracious, okay. And she bought me a ticket and I went. I went to Canada not because I wanted to, but because I had to. But again,
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason because when I went to Canada, that allowed me two powerful things. One, going to my spiritual awakening, but also allowed me a beautiful gift to spend quality time with my father before he ascended. If it wasn't for the pandemic, honestly, it might sound strange, but I see the pandemic as a blessing in disguise for me. Yes, it was awful. A lot of people suffered, lost a lot. But for me, it allowed me to get back on track, have my spiritual awakening, spend some quality, precious time with my father and my family, to reconnect with my siblings, to clear some issues, and to bond even closer. That's
Mhm.
what the pandemic did for me, for my family.
Mhm.
Again, I
Yeah,
totally get it. A lot of people lost a lot. I get it. But again, even the people that lost a lot, if you look at things from the eyes of what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? Then you will see it for what it truly is. Maybe it was a
yes.
blessing in disguise for you to reflect on what truly matters.
Yeah, and how do I relate to this situation? And a lot of people had to sit with themselves and things like that, and they weren't allowed to see their family and things. So that brings in an invitation to self-reflect and explore. And I feel similar, like yeah, a lot of suffering happened for sure, but a lot of awakening happened through that as well. And the earth got to have a rest, which is super important as well. So, there were many blessings within it, and I also experienced something similar, and I feel like our earthly experiences shows things like you had to get to Canada, like you couldn't afford to stay where you're in Hong Kong. But I also feel that's playing out perfectly because there's something else calling you. And like you say, once you got to Canada, there was a big shift and all these things happened. And for me as well, I was in Europe and I had some beautiful things happening, but I also financially was struggling. And my partner was supporting me at the time. I'm super grateful for, but I couldn't get a job, and where we were going to live was difficult and things like that. And then my father got cancer, terminal. It was going to pass away, and
Sorry to hear that,
that
brother.
pulled me back to New Zealand, and so I had 3 weeks with him, and they were beautiful 3 weeks. He was very coherent, but not, it wasn't very long, but he was very coherent when I arrived. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that because I almost didn't come home for that, and I don't
Mm.
know. I was, rolling with having the acceptance of never seeing my father again, and how would I be? Would I be okay with that? And I felt I could be okay with that, but yeah, I don't know whether I would have been actually. I don't know because I came home, so I did have that precious time with him, and was able to be there for my mum as well, and also I just needed to be in New Zealand for a higher purpose, which I wasn't necessarily totally aware of, but I had some sense of it. So that's why I feel, sometimes these earthly, everyday life things play out in a certain way for a higher purpose, and being open and asking those questions, like you're saying, then we can get to explore what they're really about, which is really beautiful.
So absolutely. First of all, very sorry for your father. I can totally empathize with you. So may
Thank
his
you.
soul and the soul of everybody that left as a result of that be in peace in paradise. Because yeah, anyways. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he was a
absolutely.
good man, so I know he got a clear passing through over, I know the angels were there to support him and help him because
Absolutely.
yeah, he did a lot for his community. He was a very
Good,
active
good.
man, yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely, yes. Beautiful. But yeah, everything, if you were to, one of the exercises I give my students in my academy is to map out their lives. For example, I don't know if you remember that exercise we did when you took the academy. Take a piece of paper and write down all the different chapters of your life. Just one or two keywords. And at the bottom, two questions. What is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? And then once it's completed, stare at it and see which one speaks the loudest to you. the most visceral way, the most painful way. And guess what? That is your zone of genius. That is a true gift. Because again, we all have our fair share of pain, trauma, tragedy, all the things that life throws at us, betrayal, pain, and all that. Yes, it hurts a lot when you go to that, but then those become your story. Then your story becomes your gifts. Then your gifts become your duty and responsibility to share them with others. And then now it's a time, a stage for all of us to take our gifts and share them with others so we can all collectively rise. Because from my understanding, my humble understanding, is that yes, life is a school. We come here to grow, learn, become better and wiser. But that's only 5% of what we are here. So 95% is taking those gifts, those wisdom, those experiences, share them with others around you and around the world. So we can all collectively benefit. We can all learn, grow, empower others, uplift others from that.
Mm, yeah,
So
beautiful. And we also see we're not alone, eh? I think that's a big part as well, because a lot of people think, um, you know, I'm the only one who's having this difficulty or had to go through this challenge. And then
oh
you hear
no.
more and more stories, and you come into a circle and you're sharing, oh wow, you had the similar and all that. And yeah, whatever we're being is an invitation for others to be. So as we are voicing our story, then that can touch someone else to, and they can voice their story, and it could be in a totally different way. It could be through a song or a written word or whatever, but that energy helps fuel it more and more, like you're saying. And also relate with what you're sharing about. I know you had your period where you were very timid and shy and didn't
Oh
really know how
yes.
to speak. And similar, I've had a journey with communication. I was either out there, my Leo energy and da da da, and like being the center of attention, or I was just fully withdrawn and I didn't know how to speak. And that totally makes sense. Those things like you're saying that we struggle with are our gifts. That's what we've come here to learn and work through, and that's where our power is. And our voice is a huge creative being. It's really
Absolutely. Absolutely. All gifts. Nothing happens to you. Nothing happens because you were a naughty
nope.
boy in a past life. It's not bad karma. Sure, there's karma, but it's not that. It's just because you need to go through those so you can learn the lessons and then share those gifts with others.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I love what you say, because for me, really early on in my journey, when I had a shift and I started to ask, I always ask questions, but I come to a place where I ask the more meaningful, deeper questions, because I
Mm.
started to have an awareness. Like I used to even say, there's something bigger than me, and then my voice would carry on and say, that is me. And I go, oh, that's interesting. Well, and
Yeah,
what's that? What does that mean? And now I know more about that. But yeah, I definitely went from a place where life is happening to me to life is happening for me. And just that one word, it was massive. It's
oh
because it
yeah,
takes out the victim totally, and it doesn't condone other people's actions and what you
no,
experience and to ignore it or be naive or anything. It just sits you in a different place and you see it from a different perspective and you relate from a different place. That's empowering, that's supportive,
absolutely,
and yeah, and that's a huge message, I think, for many people to hear.
absolutely. The soonest we realize that, the soonest we will know. It's going to allow us to find our true purpose, our true reason for being here. We all have a different purpose, and the soonest we find that out, the better off we will be. The more fulfillment we'll find in life. Fulfillment doesn't come in financial success because I've been there. I've been completely broke. Here was some of my happiest moments of my life. And I've been in days where I was making thousands of dollars a day. And I was like, what's next? What's next? Getting drunk and doing things that stupid things, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So it's about balancing it, isn't it? It's about bringing that place where you have joy, you have purpose, you're aligned with your soul expression, and you're abundantly supported in all areas of your life.
Absolutely.
Because then you can reach more people as well and go where you feel called to go and feed your soul as well, in that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, life is funny when you look at things in life is fun in a good way and magical, because it's a journey. And one thing I always keep saying, that's one of my quotes, and I'm proud of it, and I'll keep it. And that is, life is a buffet. Not only for us to try all these delicious dishes from around the world, but also to experiment and experience all the magic that life and the world have to offer us. And by that, it doesn't mean just the beautiful things. It can also mean experiencing despair, homelessness, loss, betrayal, tragedy, because you will not be able to truly appreciate success if you haven't been at the bottom. Once you were forced to live on $20 a week, literally surviving on the free tea, coffee, and snacks, drinking 5 cups of coffee each day just to what is it, to contain your hunger, because coffee, controls your hunger. Once you've been there, my happy moment of the week back in Hong Kong literally was going to McDonald's and getting the cheapest item on the menu, which was the cheeseburger. That was my happy moment, the splurge moment of the week. That was for me the once a week special event. And I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, but because I was craving something different other than just the same instant noodles, sardines, and bread, and the same crackers and coffee and tea. That was, again, once you've been there, then you appreciate the good things. If you haven't experienced that, then you will not appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And if I could go back in time, even though, yes, it was a very tough phase of my life, honestly, Jacob, I would not change it.
Yeah, that's because
you
see the blessing that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get that.
And now
I mean,
and now I will do everything I can to never go back to that place. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Because one time is enough,
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I totally. Yeah, I had a time when I was in South America, and yeah, my wife was from Chile, and we were separating, and I was quite lost what to do with myself, and I didn't have any job or any finance coming, and I'd spent my money. And because I've been supporting her and going back and forth to New Zealand, and a child into school, and all sorts of things, and yeah, and I just come to a point where I was broke, and I was living in a backpackers, and I would go out each day and I would busk on the street and for money, and each day I managed to make enough money to get me into a bed and to have some food. I don't really remember the amounts, but it was like that. It was a day-to-day thing for me. And one day, then I went to a market, and I had a few stuff that I had bought when I was in Bolivia. So I put them out on a rug, and some clothes, and I had some hacky sacks, and I played hacky, and sold them, and I made quite a bit of money. And I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go to a really nice restaurant, and I'm going to have a 3-course meal and a really
There you
good
go.
beer. And I'm going to be a king for just this 1 hour or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
I spent all my money other than the amount I needed for my backpackers. And then the next day I just had to do it all again.
Yeah. Again, life is a buffet. You want to experience all of that,
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like you say, you reflect on those times. It was beautiful to be in that situation, and to survive, to know that there's a will to survive and get by, and there's ways to manage. And, I could have gone the next stage where I slept homelessly, but I didn't need to. I was able to sustain myself enough just through busking, and then get back to New Zealand eventually with a ticket.
Once you've been that low, you become very resourceful. You learn how to stretch your money to the max. You know where the good deals are. You know what time to go to this restaurant to get the best deal. Sometime in Hong Kong, we would go just before for example, there's places that are open just for lunch. Lunch is between 11 to 2. And after 2 o'clock, they sell everything at 50% because they close. So that was the time to go. You learn those. You know what I mean? You have to. It's a matter of survival.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day that, like KFC and those places, when they closed, whoever worked there just got everything that was left over. So if you had a friend that worked at KFC, and you're at the pub and it was 10 o'clock and you knew it was closing time, you just head down to KFC and went round the back, and he was just like, here you go, chicken burgers and all sorts. And yeah, you were sorted for the night.
There was a market in Hong Kong selling wet market selling vegetables, and they would usually close at 8:30. So the time to go was just before they closed. They would give you extra veggies or even for free veggies, whatever they had left. So you learn those tricks once
Yeah.
you're in that situation. It really expands your mind a beautiful way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's like you say, being resourceful. Yeah, being
Hey,
resourceful.
survival skills, man. You
hmm
know?
Well, we have them, that's our nature. And as far as helping us be here in a human body on the earthly planes, our survival instinct is really important.
It's everything. This is one of the things we need to learn. Because if you were born in a rich family and you've in a luxurious environment, yeah, it's comfortable. But you become soft, you become weak, you don't really grow.
Mm. No,
It's
you
actually
don't.
doing yourself a disservice at the soul level because you're not learning anything.
No, no. Yeah, and I've experienced that firsthand in the sense that had a group that came over here from China, and there was 5 boys. They were in between 8 and 10 years old, and 2 girls, 14 and 15, and they were on like a Rudolf Steiner camp. And I got asked to join them when we took them for a hike, so overnight hike. And these boys had never washed a dish. They didn't know how to hold a dish to wash it or even to dry it or anything. They,
Yeah.
fold their clothes. Everything was done for them, and then we took them to the forest and took them hiking. And, man, some of them, they threw all their toys out of their cots, but they grew so much. And there was a bit of a meltdown between two of them. And the way they came together and communicated and openly shared was like incredible to witness. It was absolutely and there's no way they would have ever got to experience anything like that in their everyday life.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know what came of that for them, like that it would have touched them in many ways.
Hopefully, and not just brush it off in and out and go back to the sheltered lifestyle after. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, you just don't know, eh? You just never know. I feel something like that. That's quite a touching experience at some point of your life, even if you're 50. You might have a moment where you actually go, "Oh, I can actually do something different than what I'm doing." I don't know. I just think something like that would,
Yeah,
just be just sitting there in your field somewhere.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah,
Mm.
it's a journey, it's a process, a learning, it's a buffet. Life is a buffet, literally.
It is. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I also find um, when we're learning and exploring and getting knowledge by like going to courses or a teacher and things like that, I learned that, if you have like this famous chef and you love him and you're able to go to one of his restaurants and he does like a 7 course meal, and say the third one is actually something that you don't like eating, it doesn't agree with your body, would you eat it? That's a question I'd ask. Would you eat that 3rd course meal because of who he is, or would you actually honor yourself and say, it's okay to eat it in this moment, or actually I don't feel to eat it? Like I
Yeah.
find that quite interesting, because a lot
If you
of
don't
people
like it,
just say,
don't eat
I
it.
would eat it all, and I'd probably feel a bit sick, but I ate his 7 course meal. And I think, yeah, we need to honor ourselves within that as well and see what's
Yeah,
good for us,
why?
what resonates, and leave the rest.
Yeah, why do you go and spend the money to go to a 7 course meal? Is that you want to enjoy yourself. So if something is unappetizing and makes you sick, you don't want to eat that. Simple as that. Yes, you spend money, but you can still get the worth of your money by eating the other dishes. I'll just ask them to replace this with something else.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be a chef. It can just be anyone. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
a teacher who teaches certain ways and there's some things that don't resonate. That's okay. Just leave them. Don't think that they have all the answers for you, because you have the answers yourself. And the more you recognize what doesn't resonate, you can just walk away, you can just leave that, and then more of your own inner voice and expression can come through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, brother, how's the academy going? Like you're doing, how regularly you're doing that, and how's people's podcasts
So
going journey?
I'm just finishing tomorrow my first ever UK class. By popular demand, we had a very successful 5-day challenge in the UK in July. We had over 111 people sign up for the challenge, and quite a few said yes to join the academy. So we're finishing the academy, and I extended my program from 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Before that, the program was a 3-week program to help you launch a profitable podcast within 2 weeks. But then and so that you can get leads on demand, even if you have no audience and without spamming. And then I realized that, hey, getting leads on demand is beautiful, but what people really want is to get that first paying client. They want to make money. So I added an extra week to the academy. And this is the first time I'm teaching this week. I call it week 4, Money Week. How to get your first paying client in as little as 30 days from the moment you launch a client. So it's going well. People are loving it. The students are loving it. And I'm going to incorporate it for my next classes from now on. And already planning to do not 1, but 2 challenges at the same time in the same week in September. That's how crazy I am. And that's how much I love it. I will be doing one for the US, which will be 8 p.m. Eastern, which is morning here for me, and one at 1 p.m. UK, which is 7 p.m. for me. So I'll be doing two challenges the same day, 2 classes, one at 7 a.m. for the US, North America, Australia, New Zealand, and one for the UK, Europe, and South Africa at 7 p.m. So it'd be like a crazy for 1 week, but I love it. For
Yeah,
me,
you
it's not
do.
work. I love it. I
It
love
feeds
meeting new
you.
people, inspiring them, helping them understand the tremendous game-changing effect of potential of podcasting, and helping them find their voice, helping them identify the zone of genius so they can create magic, help other people make us, create a better world while changing the family's financial future. This
Mm,
what better
mm,
thing to do is there? None.
yeah, and
Plus,
what
I
you're
live in a beautiful
showing,
place here in Vietnam, so I can travel. I can do things I want.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And what I feel what you're showing is, you find your passion, you can do this. You can really put your
Yes.
energy into something a lot. And that's what you're really a beautiful example of. And I really honor you for that
Thank you.
because,
Thank you,
yeah, it's
brother.
amazing. Yeah. And then in between that, you'll be doing other podcasts and things as well. You won't be like just resting.
Absolutely. Oh, well, I will be traveling in September, going back to Canada. It's been a year, spending time with family, also for my birthday in October. And after that, I'm still deciding where to go next, whether come back to Asia or even go back to Argentina.
Oh, wow.
And from November till maybe January, because October to Christmas here in Da Nang is the rainy season. The rainy season absolutely awful. I was there last year.
Mm.
It after time is raining. I mean, raining cats and dogs nonstop for days at a time. You barely get a break for 10 minutes a day, and I don't want to be in this environment this year again. So whereas in Argentina, it's a spring, summer, it's a beautiful time to be, and it's an incredible country, amazing. If you're a wine lover and if you're a meat lover like me, then you're in paradise.
Yeah.
So
Which part of Argentina?
Buenos Aires.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
been there?
Yeah, I have. I have visited,
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. So you can understand me, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And the people are
Uh,
incredibly friendly. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, South America people, you super friendly, and it's a beautiful part of the world, I think, and so I wish I went when I was younger, actually. I went in my 30s, and I think if I went in my 20s, I would have just moved around so much. I would have just spent so
yeah.
long there, and
I have a feeling that once I get there, get a taste of living, I may want to spend more time in Argentina because it's, unlike in Asia. And don't get me wrong, I love Asia. I spent a big chunk of the last 10 years in Asia and different countries. But because of the language barrier, it's really difficult to really connect with the people.
Mm.
The locals was in South America. I speak Spanish, I speak Portuguese. So you can really,
Oh,
well, not fluent, but I can get by. I speak Portuñol, which is a mix of Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and Spanish. You can get around. You can really connect with people, and I love Latin culture, Latin music,
Yeah.
the food, and all that good
Passion.
stuff.
There's your passion as well. It's very passionate.
Oh
Very
yes,
expressive.
very. Oh yes, and very beautiful women too. So that's a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
you've
it's
got Patagonia as well. Have you ever
oh,
been up there?
you know, one of the places on my bucket list, and I don't have a bucket list, but if I add two places, one Patagonia and two Antarctica, and the best place to go from Antarctica is from Argentina, from Ushuaia,
Mm,
way down.
yeah.
And one thing I really want to do, maybe that's the ultimate experience, is I want to do the crossing by sea. I want to go to the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage. It's absolutely insane. It's the roughest, most dangerous water in the world.
Hmm.
So I've been watching videos of it, and I'm dreaming of the Drake Passage. To go through
Yeah,
that.
real adventurer.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. I love it.
So yeah.
Oh, and TED Talks, do you have any more lined up, or are you just going to flow with that and see how it
For
goes?
now, that's the one. And if the universe and destiny have more for me, I'd graciously, gracefully, and gratefully accept them with open arms. But for now, I have my plate full with my academy, with
Yeah.
my podcast. Maybe I'll do another book, but this time it's going to be my book about podcasting, how to leverage podcasting for business, and how
Mm,
podcasting changed my life. That might be in the works for maybe when I'm in Argentina, between glass of wine and a steak, just write a little bit here and there. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. They have big stakes in Argentina. Woo.
Oh, I know, I know.
Hey.
It's good because I want to get into I tried last year when I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I tried the meat only diet, and I had incredible results. Before that, when I was eating normal diet with lots of carbs, each day after lunch, I had to take a nap, and I was very hungry every hour, munching all the time, low on energy, tired, sleepy. Whereas when I tried the all meat, so my diet was no breakfast. For lunch, I would have 4 eggs and one big steak. I would cheat a little bit. I would add some salad on the side because I like my salads. But I swear to you, man, I didn't have any desire to take naps. I was full of energy, clarity up until 7, 8 o'clock. I would eat around lunch around maybe 12 to 2, and then no desire to eat anything until 7, 8 o'clock. But then at 7 o'clock, it would get like a cliff. I had to eat, otherwise I would collapse. The
Mm,
first day I almost collapsed, but I didn't know it. But after that, I would make sure that as soon as 6:30 happened, 7 o'clock, I had to eat. And I would eat, maybe if I had steak for lunch, I would get chicken or fish for dinner. So I tried that, and I had an incredible experience. So when I go to Argentina, I'm in meat paradise. I will go full blown
mm.
meat diet.
That's interesting. Yeah, I love that because we just explore what's good for our body. For me, I'm plant-based, so it's just we find out what
Yeah.
works for us, and that's
Try.
great.
I mean, again, life is a buffet. Experience all kinds of dishes and all kinds of diets. See which one
Yeah,
works best for you.
I've definitely have explored lots of diets, different ways of eating. Yeah,
What's your
typical
favorite?
Kiwi guy. We're a lot of meat and dairy in our world, and this part of the world.
Especially
Yeah.
lamb. You guys are famous for your lambs, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we not as I mean, we still are, but there's not as many sheep as there used to be. There's a lot of cows have kind of pushed the sheep out. And it would be nice. I think they're coming back a bit more because we just have too many cows in the country, actually. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
a very common joke when I was, I think, a teenager. There was 3 million people and 7, 8 million sheep, or something like that.
With 2 sheep per person. Okay, that's good. Cool. Awesome.
Mm. And I also would just like to share that with you and your academy, and even your live your free 5-day challenge. You bring on absolutely amazing guests, like very
Thank you. Yes.
experienced. Yeah. So do you want to share a little bit about
Yeah,
them?
because I want to provide as much value as possible to my audience. That's my way of thanking them for the time, for the trust, which are the two most valuable gifts someone can give you in business and in life in general, their time and the trust before they even give you their money. So I want to go over and beyond to provide not only for them to provide them as much value, but also to give them extra insights from other experts. It's one thing if they hear it from you, but it's amazing if they can hear it from other people, maybe people that are more advanced than you, more successful than you. And I'm very open with that. I don't, because I also use my challenges as a way for me to learn from these more successful people than me.
Yep.
So it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer for all parties involved. And
Ye-
I and in the process, I make more connections, more potential partnerships in the future. It opens so many doors.
Yes, yeah, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? And what I
Yes.
also observed is that you had people coming on to your podcast and to learn, and they were already really advanced at what they're doing. They already had a very prominent podcast show, but they still felt drawn to come and see
Yeah.
yours, and learn from you.
Because
So that's
podcasting makes
amazing.
sense because business at the end of the day is it's not about numbers. Sure, numbers matter, but ultimately it's a relationship nurturing process, especially when it comes to high ticket selling, meaning anything over $1,000, pounds, or euro is about one thing and one thing only: trust. How do you build trust? By building rapport. How do you build rapport? By speaking from the heart. How do you speak from the heart? By just sharing your story. And once you build the trust, then it opens all the doors and wallets to do business with in a more organic way, as opposed
Mm.
to the salesy, sleazy way that nobody likes.
No, the horrible way, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel a lot of us just don't resonate with, because
No,
we
nobody
we come
does.
from a place of truth, so it's like it's not in alignment with who we truly are. It doesn't fit.
For
Yeah.
example, I always say I suck at selling, but I'm really good at sharing my story and I'm really good at inviting people. I suck at selling and at chasing people. I don't do that. But I'm amazing at inviting. I'm amazing at sharing my story, speaking from the heart. So,
Yeah. And then you don't have to sell.
no, exactly. Because your passion, it's contagious.
Yes.
And the more you speak from the heart, the more people can resonate, can relate, can identify, and that's when magic happens.
Yeah.
Because again, you're
Beautiful.
dealing with people. People is all about trust. It's about conversations,
Yeah.
as opposed to funnels, chat GPT, or bot messenger. Nobody likes that. Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with a human being, just like me and you. And it's all based on trust. Again, name
Yes.
of the game is trust.
Yeah.
And podcasting is the best way to do so by having
Yeah.
heart-to-heart conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And just showing yourself. That's what I love about you, because that's me as well. It's just like, just be real, just be who you are, be natural, stumble
Be
over your
authentic.
words, or do something silly, or it's
Yeah.
okay. It's all just part of the journey, and yeah, it's all okay.
Listen, nobody's perfect. We all have our, what is it? Dirt in the closet, so to speak. And and I don't hide it. I tell them, listen, 4 years ago I was living on a couch. Hey, I used to not be proud of it, but then now I see it for what it was. It was a beautiful blessing in disguise, and now I have no problem. I just share it loud and proud. I share it in my podcast all day, in my books. I just did a TEDx talk on that. So hey, embrace your gifts. Literally, your crap is your gold. The moment you realize that, that's when you see things for what they are, and you stop playing the victim.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically saying we're all walking around shitting gold poo.
That's one way of saying that's maybe the Kiwi version of it, the Jacob way. Go trademark that, brother. Trademark it.
That actually the word poos is one of my favorite words when I was younger.
Ah, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. I didn't realize that it was, because we also in New Zealand say, we had an expression saying good as gold.
Go to what?
Good as gold. How you doing? Oh, I'm good as gold.
Oh, good as gold. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's been around since, yeah, I was really young, and I find that really, it's like, oh, were we aware of what we're actually saying? It's awesome. So
I'm
yeah, I
gonna
think
I'm gonna
think
bore with this expression, good as gold. So I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah, you can. It's I don't own it. No one owns anything. Hey,
Thank you.
we're just
Thank
we're
you.
just
So
sharing and
generous.
sharing. Um, so
Sharing is
brother, is
caring.
anything you'd like to share actually before we finish up?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for the time. Thank you for inviting me. Uh, all good, man. I'm good as gold. Let me just write this down. I'm gonna credit it to you, Jacob. Okay. I have a notepad file full of all the quotes. It used to be from famous people, but now it's even from people I talk to, people from my guests from my podcast, my friends. So I just put this expression of yours. I'm good as gold. So
Yeah,
there you
nice.
go.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I also say that's a choice.
That's a what?
A choice.
Yeah,
So when
choice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because it's a choice. Like we also had choice. Someone say um oh that was amazing, or you'd say oh that was choice.
Mm,
Yeah, it was really choice.
yes,
It's really funny.
indeed.
Okay,
Okay,
man, it's
cool.
been beautiful connecting with you. Yeah, we're
Thank you,
really
brother.
grateful. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
keep shining and doing what you do and being what you be.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. You too. I'm super proud of you, super mega cheering for you. I know you can do it and you will do it. You are already very inspirational. And you know what? You're only starting. You're only starting. There's only one way. This way. You're gonna go up. You're gonna go to the not even to the moon. The moon is gonna be the first step. You're gonna go to Andromeda. We're gonna go together to Andromeda. You know?
And then we're going to pull Andromeda down here onto Earth.
I know we're gonna go to Arcturus and to Antares and all the beautiful places in the universe. You know?
Yeah, but we're bringing them here. That's what we're here for,
Yeah,
is to bring heaven on
exactly.
Earth, anchor it and
Exactly.
ground it through us. Yeah,
Heaven on earth and
beautiful.
heaven around the universe. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah, shining now, a bright light.
As good as gold, right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you,
totally, brother.
brother. Have
All
a good
right, go
one.
well, eh?
Cheers.
And
Cheers.
thank you all
Cheers.
for joining us today. Really grateful. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you next time. Blessings on you all.
Yes, as good as gold. That should be the